Steve McGinnis. You know who that puts me in mind of that has not been mentioned in years and years? Pat McGinnis.
Pat McGinnis.
Do you remember him?
I do, from Memphis, actually.
Does anyone else remember him? He was, at one time, did they not put the world title, their alleged, the CWA world title, on Pat McGinnis? They did,
yeah.
Off of Thunderbolt Patterson, I believe.
What an amazing list of champions the CWA had. Superstar Billy Graham, Thunderbolt Patterson, Jerry the King Lawler, and Pat McGinnis.
And Billy Robinson.
And Pat McGinnis.
And I don't know how Thunderbolt and boy, I tell you what, that was Pat McGinnis he was a big muscular fellow. I wonder whatever happened to him. Did he ever work any other territory ever?
I don't know. I only know him from Memphis. And I'm not seeing any results anywhere else. I'm briefly looking at different things here. No other information. I mean, I figured you would know more. You were actually there when he was there.
He was there for like fucking 6 weeks. Thunderbolt came in, I think, and dropped the belt to him. I saw Thunderbolt 3 weeks. That was three weeks of enough. Anyway.
I was actually going to say, did Thunderbolt really drop the belt to him, or was it a phantom switch? I thought that would be the only reason you put the belt on Pat McGinnis.
You know what? Well, now, wait a minute. Maybe I'm remembering it the other way around. Maybe Thunderbolt came in and fucking beat him for the belt and then disappeared. Well,
I'm looking up right now the CWA world title.
Okay,
hold on.
All right, now you gotta.
Here are the champions.
It was the year was 1979 when this happened. I will say Thunderbolt Patterson and Pat McGinnis.
According to Wikipedia, which of course is like J. Michael Kenyon, Fred Hornby, and Scott Teal put together. But according to Wikipedia, the first champion was Thunderbolt Patterson, winning it in Memphis, Tennessee at a house show. It was, he defended it at a house show. It was said that he won the belt over Mark Lewin in Australia.
That's right.
First champion. That's
right. Like Mark Lewin was a huge fucking name in Tennessee anyway, right? Like they could.
Yeah.
He'd never been in Memphis in his life.
At least, I mean, that's the weirdest thing. It's kind of like Jerry with Salvador Luderoth. There's a basis of truth there. Would Mark Lewin have been in Australia? Yes. Would he have been a part of any of this? No. But Thunderbolt won the belt in April, allegedly over Mark Lewin. And then Pat McGinnis won it in October in Louisville, defeating Hector Guerrero after Thunderbolt had vacated the title, leaving the CWA.
That's right. Okay. That's right. Basically, Thunderbolt came in, was there for just a few weeks, was billed as the champion, and then left, and at that point, Pat McGinnis beat Hector Guerrero, and then the whole belt left shortly thereafter. Or was that where they set it up for Lawler or for Graham?
McGinnis had the belt for 6 days.
Yeah.
And then he lost the world title to Billy Graham in Memphis, and then it says that he lost the belt to Lawler in Lexington in November of 79.
Rupp Arena, I think it was November the 6th. I saw that match. It was not, as I remember, taped for video. I've never seen video of it. I've got the only pictures as far as I know. But you know that Billy Graham, even in his physical prime, was never a smooth and polished worker, but he was the amazing promo and the amazing physique and the amazing charisma, right? And it worked a lot better in the WWF, where they were used to big guys and not long matches and not a lot of fucking ball-busting work. And Lawler was also always known as a magician. He had Mark Henry's first match ever in front of people. He could work with a fucking, paraplegic. He, can have a match with anybody of any level of experience. But he couldn't overcome Billy Graham's lack of motivation to do anything at that point except show up and try to figure out if he was still in shape where he could get another run with Vince, to be honest. Because those matches were just... Well, he only had one with... See, that's the thing. As far as I can remember, I don't even think Lawler ever wrestled Billy Graham in Memphis. Because the title change was in Lexington. And that was a big town for him, but there was no rematches. There was no long program. It was like, let's establish this thing as a belt with a real recognized former world champion holding it so that Lawler can win it. But that match didn't do anything for anybody.
And then after Lawler got vacated again, because that's when he broke his leg.
And he broke his leg, and then that's, when Jarrett brought Billy Robinson in and put it on him because he was a guy that you would take as a world heavyweight wrestling champion, but it just that nobody was going to buy that belt at that time around here.
And it is a pretty drastic switch to go, and you had to because of the injury, to go from Lawler on top, a heel eventually right before he got injured, and the next thing you know, it's Paul Ellering and Billy Robinson pushed to the top in Memphis. Nothing against them, but it's just such a complete switch in the type of main event talent.
Well, yeah, and to be honest, it wasn't expected for Billy Robinson to be the top babyface. It was expected for him to, if their world title that they had just made wasn't going to go to complete shit, it had to be on a worldwide recognized name. But Jimmy Hart became the top heel. They switched Ellering and put the crown on him just so Jimmy could manage him. But that's where they started putting all the heat on Jimmy Hart and his soon-to-be first family to await Lawler's eventual return. And then Jimmy Valiant, they got he and Lawler had been both heels and partners when Lawler broke his leg. But they switched Valiant on Jimmy Hart and anybody he managed so that Valiant could work with Ellering, because people took Handsome as a babyface in Memphis even when he was a heel half the time. So he was technically the top babyface at first, but you couldn't make Jimmy at the time the world heavyweight champion that was supposed to be, stand alone from the pack when he was, had done his gimmick all that time. So it was very confused. The point is, Jerry Jarrett didn't speak to fucking Lawler for a while because he broke his leg, and we've covered that story, but because Lawler was literally almost the key to the territory going out of business or not. And thank God, if they hadn't had Dundee to not only to book, but also to be the bedrock babyface guy on the card when Handsome could be the babyface, and then they hand it to somebody else and bring somebody else in. But Dundee was kind of the concrete there at the time that held it together for a year. But they were, especially Memphis was not doing well, but even Louisville and Evansville, everything dropped that year. Anyway. And
you brought up belts earlier. That's one of the belts no one knows where the original is, right?
As far as I know, nobody knows where the daggum thing is. And it was that, I can't remember. Lawler and Jarrett got it made somewhere. It had stained glass in it. And it was not made from a recognized belt maker that ever made another belt or had made one beforehand, and it didn't look like any other belt. So it was kind of cool in that respect. But yeah, the lettering was stained glass instead of paint or whatever. Anyway, somebody's got that somewhere. Call BR549.